Okay, we're gonna make some soufflés now because soufflés, everyone thinks they're a little bit complicated, but they're actually really easy to make, and we're going to put in one of our favourite ones, which is a blackcurrant soufflé. This base recipe, a soufflé is just made of three things. It's usually like a fruit puree or chocolate or some kind of flavouring, a cream patisserie base, and egg whites. So all you got to do is make the cream pat, prepare your fruit base, and then just whisk up some whites and you're away. So we're just going to get stuck into that. First thing is we're going to make some blackcurrant puree. And one of the reasons we like blackcurrants is, you know, for what you get, they're just so punchy, they're so powerful, they're just fantastic. They've got like, I mean, they're so cheap as well, but just their flavour is so intense, and they're really good for putting into smoothies and ice cream. I mean, that makes the best ice cream around. So we've got, you know, like half a kilo of blackcurrants there. I'm just going to put in a cup of sugar, so it's not too much. Doesn't need any water in it because it's only a small amount. So we're just stirring that up, and we're just going to heat that until the juices just start to weep out. And when they're about equal, as in the juices weeped out to kind of cover the berries, we'll take that off and just strain that. Right, so now we're going to make a little bit of cream patisserie. So we've got some milk. There's about 120 mils of milk there. I'm just going to heat that up a little bit. So we've got a little bit of sugar there. Put half in there. We're just going to use a little bit of corn flour. And this recipe says about 3 teaspoons of corn flour. So I'm not the kind of person who goes, that's a teaspoon. I just go in and grab one. And you know, I don't need to get a huge one, but I'm not going to wipe it off either. Yeah, just give it a little bit of a shake. To me, that's 3 teaspoons. You know, it's not the kind of recipe that's going to fail if it's a little bit heaped. Okay, it's all about just having a good time. So we need a couple of yolks. So just crack them into there. Save the whites because we're going to use them later on. As I mentioned, we're going to use some whites for the base of the soufflé. So we're just mixing that just to combine really. See our milk's coming up. And it's such a small amount, that's why I haven't bothered to really worry about getting a big bowl. So we're just going to whisk that in there, back into the pot. And yes, I'm going to use my finger because it's a good little utensil. And we're just going to bring that back up, and that's going to thicken quite quickly. Now already you can see that the juices are starting to weep out of that, which is fine. I'm just going to bring this up. Once it starts to thicken, take it off the heat because you don't want to scramble the eggs. You can see how that's thickening up. And you just want to cook it out for maybe 30 seconds. You don't want to overcook it. In fact, I'm just going to turn that off. And actually move it away from the heat source. This is not too bad, but if you've got like a solid top and it's got the heat still in it, take it off, and otherwise you will overcook it. Now I'm just going to pull this out. And as you can see, it's not very much, but it's quite nice and thick. It's funny to think that just 3 teaspoons of corn flour will do that. And the reason we're using corn flour instead of flour is just so it's gluten free. So if you've got someone who's swinging by and they're gluten free and there's more and more of them, I'm just going to pour that in there. And just push this through. And pour that in there. just on 160 there. If you do have some old whites lying around, basically an egg white is 30 grams. So you can easily just weigh it out and work it out. You need 120 whites for this recipe, so it's simply four egg whites, or just weigh it out. If it's a little bit more, like this is about 130, and you can't get it perfect, it's not the end of the world. Okay, so there's our whites, and I'm just going to prepare the molds. And simply we're just going to take a little bit of melted butter or soft butter and just brush them with a pastry brush. And you know, you don't need to use fancy bowls, you can use cups and stuff like that. Okay, I've got some sugar, and this is just going to help it. This is kind of like greasing the mold. So we're just turning that around, bit of a tap. Now you could just mix these two in like a little blender, and that's what we do at the restaurant. So literally we're just going to mix this till it's combined. Because this is a puree and it doesn't need a lot of mixing, it's fine just to mix like this. You're just combining the puree and the creme pat. We're just going to add two tablespoons of sugar. I'm just going to wing it, and we're just up to a nice soft peak. Actually, if you when you're doing the egg whites, don't push them too hard. Like a soft peak is actually better than a hard peak, and it actually gives the souffle more strength. So if you walk away down the end of the house and come back and they're really stiff, you're actually going to have a weaker souffle, and they're the ones that go up and drop quite quick. So just a nice soft peak, and you'll get them really jumping up. More liquid is actually kind of quite good. All right, so here we go. There's a nice soft peaks. You know, just nice and just come together. So remember, there's only like 2 tablespoons of sugar in with those whites, and we only used about there's only like 1 cup for that whole mixture of black currants, and not a heck of a lot of sugar in this dessert at all. So we're just going to tip that in, and it's such a small amount, we're not going to worry about being flash. At the restaurant we used to do it in 3 parts, and now we don't. We just don't, and it doesn't make any difference. So this is just where you've got to be a little bit careful, and that's where you need a decent whisk. Just let it fall through, and you're just digging nice and deep to the bottom. And just kind of almost, you can actually just shake it until it's combined. You just don't want to see too much white. Okay, this is why you don't put your bowls away. Leave everything out because you're going to have a bit of a mess. Right, just chuck that in there. And now we're just going to clean the edge of this, and I'm just using like the edge of a clean chucks cloth. Pop them onto a tray. And with soufflés, you can actually make these ahead of time a little bit as well. They'll last for about an hour in the fridge. So if you're entertaining, you can make it just before they're sort of, you know, half an hour before you're going to have dessert. Make them, pop them in the fridge, and then when you're ready to go, it doesn't matter if you spend an extra half an hour talking and having a glass of wine, you can just leave them in the fridge, pull them out. The only thing is, once you start mixing things into the whites, don't stop, and just go from, as soon as you mix your puree into the whites, keep going, get them into the mold, square them off, clean them up, then you can put them in the fridge and walk away for an hour. But if you walk away for about 1 or 2 minutes, because you're yakking to your friends, the egg whites start to break down. But once you get them in the mold, they're stable. So into the oven they go. These are pretty good. They're a little bit early. But here we go. Look at that. Oops. And to me, they look pretty darn good. I mean, if you're quick, you can just pick them up with your hands. Apparently if you touch your ears, the Japanese guy told me, if you touch your ears, it doesn't hurt. Oh, it's quite warm. Look at that. I asked him, did it really work? He said, no, it still hurts. Look at that. That is just gorgeous. And like I say, the hardest thing is just making a little bit of creme patisserie here. And look at that, 5 gorgeous soufflés with almost no effort at all. You open that up, and look at that, just gorgeously set. Beautiful, cool. Happy cooking.